How'd that feel, Mike?
I'm trying to go heavy right now, so
Like old times. What is going on, you guys? So for those who don't know, I've recently switched from conventional deadlifting to sumo deadlifting. And I wanted to make this video to talk about some of the benefits I'm noticing and some of the problems I'm also facing. Now, anyone who's switching to the conventional to sumo, I just wanted to make this video at this point in time because I've been a conventional puller my whole life, and I've only recently started to switch to sumo. So I just wanted, anyone who's going through the transition, I wanted to hopefully relate to you guys and just get across some of the things I'm going through, and hopefully can help you along your process as well. So first off, the range of motion is incredibly different. Obviously the sumo pull is a much shorter range of motion, but I'm noticing obviously that there's a huge difference from points at the lift. So conventional, from the floor, I've never had a problem getting any weight off the floor. Sumo, if I try to go a little too heavy, it's a lot harder to pull off the floor. Where for the lockout, conventional is always my weak point, meaning for the lockout, and sumo, if I get the weight off the floor, I'm locking that weight out. But that being said as well, a problem I've actually faced with sumo is, due to the positioning of the wider stance and everything in total, if you pull easily off the floor and have upper back routing when you're pulling off the floor, you're pulling with your back and disengaging your lats, and that's actually when it becomes hard to lock out in sumo. So for me, and what I've also researched is, if you're having trouble locking out from sumo, you actually screwed up your positioning from the beginning of the lift. Sumo should be harder off the floor, but once you get it off the floor, if you struggle locking out, that means it was a form problem and you pretty much took yourself out of your mechanical advantage. Now, conventional, it's much easier to muscle the weight up, like you can pull with your back or whatever. Your form can be ugly as hell, and you can still get that weight up depending on what weight it is. For sumo, I've been noticing this a lot for myself, is no matter really what the weight is, if I like try to muscle it up, it's a very, very ugly and not a good lift. And what I said, you can muscle it up and it can be ugly lift in the conventional, but for sumo, when you notice that the lift isn't good, it's never because the weight is too heavy normally. It's always, almost always a form mistake. Whenever I screw up with my sumo pull, I immediately know it's a form mistake, whether it's I'm not pushing my knees out, or I let my lats get disengaged from the bottom of the lift, or my feet weren't evenly pointed, or anything like that. I can always tell with sumo pulls that if I'm not able to get it up or lock it out or something, it's always a form problem. I have yet to come to a weight. I haven't tried, well, that being said, I haven't tried a crazy amount of weight with sumo yet. Like I'm doing, in this video, I'm doing 4x3 with 425. And that's not a crazy weight. I could do more with my conventional pull, but like I said, I'm trying to really work on my form and just fix tweaks and stuff along the process. Now, I also want to mention my form is very far from perfect. Like I said, sumo is an art form, so please don't take or try to model my form in this video. I really am putting this out to show you guys what I'm working on and my progress, my transition, and all the things I'm struggling with. Like you'll see, sometimes my back rounds from the bottom of the motion. That's because I wasn't able to get into a mechanically strong point at the beginning of my lift. Or my knees are caving in a little bit and not pushing out. A lot of these things are just mental things that I'm not yet used to, and I have to train myself to get used to them. When I know I have a solid rep with sumo, it feels better than it ever has for a conventional pull. I've always been a slow puller conventionally, and when I do a good rep with sumo, it honestly never felt better. And one of the biggest differences I've noticed too is conventional is so much more taxing on the entire central nervous system. Your body is fried when you do conventional pulls, heavy conventional pulls. Your body is fried. When you do sumo, yes, you're obviously tired, but it's not nearly as taxing on the full body in my opinion. I feel a lot more in my ass, in my legs, and much less on my lower back. So the stress taken away from your lower back for sumo is actually significant. And that's just one of the greatest things I've noticed, because I've always had a terrible upper back rounding problem, and sumo is honestly working really hard at eliminating that for me. I've been doing a ton of rear delt, middle trap, and rhomboid work to compensate for my chest and fix that asymmetry that I've mentioned in other videos. But the sumo pull, it honestly just puts me in a much more optimal, stronger position to avoid just muscling up with my back and really focus on form and getting that weight up using multiple aspects of my whole body instead of just pulling with my lower back and putting a ton of stress on that. And not to mention that takes away a lot of the injury risk. Although I've never been injured doing conventional pulls, this just kind of makes, the sumo is really just making me more confident in that. And I really do like sumo. One of the things I've noticed as well is that when I'm pulling for sumo, if I fall any bit forward, it's because the weight is not getting pulled back to me. Conventionals, I don't know why this always happened, but a lot of times with my conventional pulls when I went heavy, I'd fall a little bit forward and it would change the bar path. With sumo, I literally am focused on pulling back into my body, scrimping up my shins and up my thighs. Yeah, it kind of hurts sometimes, but that's what we do. No bleed, no gains. Just kidding. But yeah, I push back and I literally could, if I let go of the bar, it'd fall onto my ass. Whatever, and that's like how you should be doing sumo. You should be pulling it into your body. And for conventional, for some reason, it was really hard for me to get into that positioning. It was hard for me to pull back. I can put my head up, and I would still, some reason, fall forward. Where for sumo, if I'm coming back, I can literally keep the weight back and not have that fall forward, and that's actually going to significantly help you in the end, because that was changing the bar path makes any lift much harder. So those are some of the things I'm really noticing about the differences between my sumo and conventional. I have a ton of work to do on my sumo pulling. As you can probably see, it's not even close to perfect, but it's feeling stronger and stronger, and each week so far I've gone up in weight. Now I'm not going to push the weight, meaning I'm not going to overdo myself. I really want to work on my form and get everything down. I keep switching my feet placement just a little bit, trying to figure out which way my hip flexibility works best with the pointing of my toes. So like I said, that's all just a process. I am permanently switching from conventional to sumo. I will still do conventional every now and then just to switch things up and screw with my body, but sumo is going to be my focus as of now for a good amount of time, and I really believe for how things are going, how things are feeling, that sumo is going to eventually be a much stronger lift for me in the end, and I will be getting that 600 deadlift before you know it. Let's go. Alright, like the video guys, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.